tax identification, TIN, tax identification number. The Mennonites do. The Amish do not.
So you're saying the Mennonites have a Social Security number?
No, they do not. They have a tax identification number.
So they can't collect Social Security?
No, neither group will collect Social Security. It is against their religion.
Wow. So that means when they get old, they need some money, it won't be there. They'll have to rely on what the work they did or whoever looks after them.
No, the community. You see, if you're Amish, you're contributing to the community all the time. So when you reach that age, you have your sons and daughters or your sons that are going to take over your household, essentially. Your daughters will be married out. Your sons who will take care of you. The community will take care of you in your old age. They take care of themselves. It's different, but I'm not going to say it's worse. By all standards, these people are much happier than most of the rest of us.
Well, they don't have the worries.
I'm sure they have worries. They're worried about whether the crops are going to succeed or not. They have their worries. But it's a different set of worries. I just found it interesting. You have citizens within the United States, not U.S. citizens, but citizens within the United States, that look at themselves as citizens of Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and other regions, but not as citizens of the U.S. As a corporate entity. And as such, they're not bound under the federal Internal Revenue Service rules and guidelines. That I found extremely interesting. So there you go. And where most people will say, well, it's against their religion to pay taxes, that's why I said, no. They pay state taxes. They do indeed. The Amish in Pennsylvania will pay the Pennsylvania income tax. They pay it. They don't have a problem with the taxes per se. They just don't find themselves under the jurisdiction of the federal government. Reagan tried to change that, but was unsuccessful. W3JMD.
There was people that really liked Reagan, and then there was people that really did not like Reagan.
What do you mean by High German and Low German?
It's dialects. It's dialects of the language. It's like, have you ever gone down to South Carolina and tried to talk to people down there?
No.
Go into the backwoods of South Carolina and see if you can hold a conversation for more than 20 or 30 seconds before you say, I have no idea what the hell he just said.
All I know is this damn Yankee.
No, it ain't even a matter of damn Yankee. I'll tell you what, they can talk to each other and know exactly what they're saying, and you're looking and going, what the hell? I have no idea what he just what he just said.
I'm saying money, he's up with the jitters down there, but he understands himself.
So, in that vein, it's like High German and Low German are similar, but they are different. And it's just dialects. And Low German is an older German style. And that dates back to when, the Mennonites came, or the Amish came here, 1700s and thereabouts. And I'm sure it's changed over the years because they're not with Germany itself. And so in the course of the hundreds of years that they've been here, the language has changed ever so slightly due to that, but they speak a dialectic that's Low German. No. Well, Western Pennsylvania, we say, yins ain't gonna believe this shit. Now, if you're from Western Pennsylvania, it's going to be yuns. Not y'all, yuns.
Yuns.
They're from Western Pennsylvania. And so if you hear somebody say yuns, say, where are you from? See what they tell you. No, actually, I'll tell you what. You know KF80D, you've heard him, right? He said he knows what yuns is very well because Western Pennsylvania also goes into that eastern section of Ohio, the panhandle of West Virginia, and somewhat down from there, up through West Virginia, into slightly into Maryland, almost into central Pennsylvania and around. That area will use yuns. And so I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where, if I were to identify, born and raised, that's what I would identify with. Better get there, because if you make that wife unhappy, you're not going to be a happy person either. W3JMD for license retention purposes.
When are they going to change that?
Yeah, when are they going to make it every half hour? I mean, let's get realistic. It's like, when people don't identify, okay, there's two reasons for it. A, they don't want anyone to know who they are so they can QRM. And B, it's because they're in an extended conversation like we are, and people just forget to throw out their call sign.
What I don't get is commercial radio stations. Every 15 minutes, I think it is. And they're making you guys ID every 10 minutes. And you're not even commercial, and I don't see what the big deal is. Every half an hour is fine. Or at the beginning of a QSO with somebody and at the very end. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're going to change the radio damage.
I'm not blaming you guys, I'm blaming the guys that make the rules up for you.
No, it's not a matter of blame. It's just, I think reasonable rationale would suit everything the best. If you're doing things that you shouldn't do, and you're not giving your call sign because you're doing things you shouldn't do, that's one thing. If you're basically just kind of having a long drawn out, we're a group of friends having a conversation and we don't necessarily ID every 10 minutes. Granted, we should, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't, we should, but shit happens. Who's really in the wrong?
I can't stop that idea every time you know.
Well, that's because if you identify every 15 minutes, you'll break somebody's radio.
No, I'm barefoot.
Even if you're barefoot, you'll break something.
That's true.
Okay. Just wanted to get it all set straight. You'll break something, just like I'll break something if I try to do something too often too.
Have you broken anything lately, Jim? B-A-G-R-L-G.
Oh, I'm sure I have. I've broken lots of things. I mean, anytime I try to fix something, I usually break it first, and then it's like, oh shit, and then it's so double shit, and then it's like, I better get this fixed before the wife gets home.
Are you good at fixing things?
Some things, yes. Some things I'm good at, some things I'm not.
What about carpentry?
After a lot of bruises, cuts, and nicks and scrapes, and a lot of expletives, I can build things.
So if you nicked a piece of the molding or whatever, quarter round or whatever it is that you have in your house, then you just use a piece of toothpaste and cover it up with, or wood filler, you'd be okay. You'd go down to the hardware store. You got spares from when they built the house. Did they leave any around in the garage?
No, I'm cool that way because, like, the wife doesn't see half the shit that's broken that I broke around here. That too. So it works out to my advantage that she's, like, not observant. Well, my dipole's in my front yard. Does that tell you anything?
Yeah, what does it look like?
Well, it's a cage dipole.
So you really have to look for it.
Yeah, it's there. I mean, if you look, you'll see it. But my wife doesn't care. It's like as far as she's concerned, she said we've got this house to live in, not to put certain rooms aside to be used as oh wow, look at this room. No, she said if there isn't junk and kids' toys strewn about the house, this is what she told me right off the get-go, then this house isn't lived in.
So it's not a museum. I get the premise. I get the premise. Well, that's good. That's good.
She's very practical about a lot of these things, so it's kind of neat.
Just put a rhombic up and use the neighbor's yard.
I probably could. My neighbor's real cool with that. He doesn't have any problems with wires in his yard.
You need to buy a favorite bottle of spirits and pay him a visit in the spring. It's got rhombic antennas that make people say, I thought that was a hydro line in your yard. That's an antenna? Because really, you should go for it, Jim.
No, I already asked him. I said, could I put a beverage? I said, I'm thinking of putting up a beverage antenna. I explained to him what a beverage was. And I said, if I were to go through, like, that section of your backyard there, would you have an issue with it? I said, it would be about this high, blah, blah, blah. He said, shit, I don't even cut that area. Why would I care?
It becomes part of the scenery after a while. A leg of a dipole or whatever, vertical. It's, a lot of the people that visit here don't even see it until I point it out to them. There's two delta ellipses, one beside of each other, so there's a dipole for this man.
Do you know how far my closest neighbor's house is to mine?
He told me it's like a quarter mile or something like that.
Well, that's where I used to live. It's 100 yards. They don't care. Essentially,